going on, everyone? My favorite baits ever is the Lipless Crank, but it's too small. It cannot be casted far enough, and it has to be casted on lighter gear, and it's injection molded. I mean, these are mass produced by Rapala, a very successful and long-time lure making company. I need something bigger to this profile, but I need it to be a lipless. So the biggest lipless I found was a rattle trap, and I think it was 4 inches. I couldn't find anything that much bigger in the area. I'm sure they make it somewhere, but even then, I'm not sure if it was going to be able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish. I need something about this size, not injection molded, full solid resin casting, so it can be able to be cast right on rocks, right on the cliff, bounce off it, no big deal. All right, I need it to sink like a rock. I need it to be able to be jigged, and I need it to be able to be ripped and trolled, and do everything I need a fast sinking, bigger profile bait to be. And so my end result was, and this is one after about 30 or so fish. And the eyes aren't even on it anymore. It's just beat to utter This one got some use for sure. But I love this bait. Definitely, probably my most successful bait so far. Very, very simple. I'm going to show you the full process of how I did it from start to finish, starting now. Alright, so this was a polymer clay / Sculpey clay baked mold. So what I did is I just finally formed some Sculpey in the shape of what I wanted for the most part, and I baked it, and that dramatically cut down on all the other processes that I would need if I was going to do this out of wood. So they had the base within like 20 minutes, sanded it down, got it to where I needed to be, and I started drawing in my parts. And so I guess if I was a little bit more patient, I would draw stencils on paper and kind of transfer paper to them, but I don't have time for that, so I just used what talent I have and just kind of sketched out an even part and then made guidelines throughout the way. But very, very basic shape. This is supposed to be a very basic lure. The concept is for this lure to cast a mile, sink like a rock, and be big enough to entice the bigger fish to come and bite. And it doesn't need a whole lot of presence because it's going to be erratic. Its movements are going to be erratic, and then we can really do anything we want with a smoother mold. So sometimes just simpler is better. This is my simplest lure. It'll take nothing to make. It'll be super quick to crank out. And right here we're using a series of chisels and X-Acto knives. Now we are using the harder, the firmer Sculpey clay, which is not as giving after you bake it, so you got to be really, really careful. I primarily recommend X-Acto knives for the carving process if you're gonna post carve it, if you're gonna carve it post bake. And you can use some chisels very, very carefully. I emphasize on carefully because Sculpey will crumble if you just are loose with it. It's a learning curve. It's just like anything, like working with wood, working with anything else. After you're working with a post-bake Sculpey model for your master molder for any project, really, it just takes a little bit of fine-tuning, knowing your limits, how hard you can press, how deep you can cut at a time. And then I really have no flaws, but it's after a few of them. So it came out pretty good. I have to fix a few parts from the bubbles from when it happened when it baked, and I didn't knead out the bubbles, so I just got to fix that with marine putty, and it's ready to be put into the pre-mold section. Put in a one piece of wire through the front, one through the back, and I didn't actually drill through the lure. These are literally just placed on the side of the lure for stabilization, so it sits straight. And then I just hot glued them in place. So I mean, the hot glue will come right off, and then I'll pull the wires right off. Okay, so these are how I do my one-piece molds, so that they're perfect. You can drop the weights in, you can do whatever you want. You can put a harness if you want. The bait stays specifically straight. We only cut 1/4 of the mold. I have a whole video about how to do this linked up in the iCard right here up above. You want to click on that to see it later, or if you just want to come back and revisit the video, the links are going to be down in the description below as well on how I do my molding process. But really, I'll show you how to get nice deal out of 1-piece and 2-piece baits, only using 1-piece molds. This is the mold complete after it's dried and cured for 12 hours. Came out pretty flawless. There's a little bit of primer stuck in there from when I primered the mold. That'll come out during one of the castings. Here we're installing the weight. I'm using one weight. If you're going to make a crank like this, it probably only takes one weight or a series of like 2 weights towards the front. They're not going to be in the exact same spot, so I'm not going to tell you exactly where to put it, because if you make a bait, it's likely going to be very different. But you need to know how much weight you need for it to control and pull the lure versus the weight of the lure. Right now we're adding just under 3 ounces of solid resin. This is solid casting resin, very, very hard stuff. We're talking about unbreakable. I could take this thing outside and try and smash it with a hammer. All these, none of them would break. So chucking this thing across, it hitting a wall, falling into the water, no big deal. The big deal is it swims. It does everything I wanted it to do. It casts a mile. It sinks like a rock. It jigs like a boss. Ever seen a bait that you just see how it goes and what it does, and you know it's going to get bit? At that point in time, I'm confident enough to produce these things in a fairly large quantity without wondering if it's going to be a waste. The simplicity of the lure in itself made it super easy to tune, so I got it right the first time. And it was just an assorted paint of color. So just finding out the better stuff to use, the better resin, the better paints, better ways to make the paint. So these are going to go, they're going to war, they're going for the season. The point is to mimic a shad that panics, that goes down, that sinks, that'll jig up and down. And that's where we really target striper bites.
On the little
No, this is the first one we ever caught.
Remember, you have to set him quietly. You can't.
Check out it on a little D crank, on the mag crank, buddy.
First
That's
assess.
a nice freaking 60 for the pounder, huh?
Yeah. Up you go, bud.
Ever since its debut a few months ago, knowing that it would work, deeper into the season, we knew they would really work. So this is really dominating everything. And I've made everything from small to large swim baits, other things. We tried top water, we tried everything. These cranks, get them. Yeah, way the fuck in there. Yeah, he definitely. And this is me and my friend Matt. We're just killing it. This is a shore baiting session right here, and we're doing it right in front of other people who are trying to throw right in our area and trying to like burn out our spot, and they can't catch a single thing. We out competed them. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Just taking it out. The bait really is a dominating force in our fishing experience thus far into the season. Even with my buddy here, Ken, catches everything: catfish, largemouth, striper. Waiting for it to catch a smallie. Truth be told, if I could find a bait that would do what this one does, I would likely just go get it versus spending all the time to mold it and make it and do all the headache. But fact is, I can't find anything else on the market, at least in my area, that accomplishes what this thing accomplishes. And I definitely can't get it for as cheap as I'm replicating these. I'm replicating these. I can make 10 at a time for myself, and they all cast like a mile, sink like a rock, jig. They're indestructible. I cast them right on rocks, right on cliffs, right in the edge where I'm afraid maybe an injected molded rattle trap would explode on impact. I don't have to worry about cracking the injected molded baits that are mass produced by the public. They're mine, and they're great. Yeah.
On that mag.
On the D-mag. Freaking 8-9 pound fish right there.
Oh, they're so fat.
I know that's small for a lot of places with striper, but here, it's money. These are the better striper to catch here in the lake. Yeah, buddy. Look at that shit. Sweet. And we finally came out in a few double-digit striper, and I'm really happy to get him on this bait as a result, including various other species. Check this out. Oh, it's a flathead. He fucking stroked a flatty. Oh man. Yeah, meow. Meow to you.
What's up, son?
What's up, dude?
What's up, son?
Sweet.
On that mag crank. Snapping it off the bottom, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Catching all kinds. Catching a flathead like that in December is a blessing, dude. Let alone a freaking artificial bait. That's sweet.
It's got the...
I think a 12, 13 pounder. Nice fish.
I got a mag crank stuck in my dick. My feet are soaked now.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to support this channel on Patreon, here's the link below. There's a reward tier where I can give you specific perks and incentives and discounts on baits, priorities on baits. If you do like the stuff you're seeing, felt this was a helpful tutorial to you, please leave a like. If there's something you'd like me to elaborate more on in the next video, please leave it down in the description area below. I will have instructional videos on how to use casting resin, my one-piece molds, how to carve your master molds out of Sculpey without mushing it or crushing it or making it out uneven. These are my two-piece shads. I love these things. These are 8-inch two-piece glide bait shads. And I'll be releasing a video on those. Everything's coming. I want to show you everything on my journey as a DIY bait maker. If you guys want another bigger DIY disease, check out my other channel and find out how to build boats. Alright guys, see you later.